You are looking at a 139-year-old printing press. It's housed here in the San Diego Union Museum in Old Town. Now, when we usually think of these old-type machines, we think of them as relics or antiques or something from a romantic or historical era of long ago. Well, actually, they were simply tools that in their day performed a function which helped make life a little easier for those people involved in the tasks of the day. Now, today, we have added electricity and computers to make them even more efficient and effective. In fact, we've even attempted to add human characteristics and shapes to somehow be able to better relate to them. In today's journal, John Beatty will look at a firm here in San Diego that makes automated machines called Mobots, which perform human tasks but do not attempt to talk back to you. And if you've ever driven out Highway 8 towards El Centro and wondered about that rock tower just over the rim of the desert, well, we'll tell you its history and why it but do not attempt to talk back to you. And if you've ever driven out Highway 8 towards El Centro and wondered about that rock tower just over the rim of the desert, well, we'll tell you its history and why it just may become another ghost of the past. And in our recipe segment, Jamul Sharif is going to show us how he makes a North African dish called couscous in his La Bedouane restaurant. And finally, we have some old film you might enjoy on how a group in the 20s tried to influence the development of our beaches. That's all coming up on this week's edition of Jack White's Journal, and we'll get started right after this. This is the Desert View Tower. It stands like a lonely sentinel, guarding the approach to Mountain Springs Grade, just off Highway 8, 60 miles east of San Diego. Since its construction, starting in 1929, it has seen vehicles ranging from the Model T Ford to today's high-performance automobiles pass up and down this grade, over a road that itself has changed in both size and direction over the years. Now, we visited the Desert View Tower to talk to its owner, Dennis Newman, and to get a last look at many of the artifacts he had collected over the years. And it's fortunate that we did, for the property had just been sold and Mr. Newman's lifetime collection of antiques and memorabilia was being prepared for auction. Mr. Newman reflected on the history of the old tower.
Well, the old stone part of the structure was started by Bert Vaughan in 1920, and he was going to build it as a memorial to the pioneers. It was never completed, and I saw it in 29 when I came up here in an old Model T Ford. And then I was a classmate of Dick Vaughan, Richard L. Vaughan, a judge in San Diego, and he and I got together after the war, which was about 45 or 46. And I purchased the property with the intention of making it into a resort property. I had determined that was what I wanted to do after I got out of the service. So I remodeled it, worked it over, and added a few little essentials like water, electricity, things of that nature. And we got open in 50. So the tower has actually been open about 30 years to the public. And we have an accumulation of Indian artifacts here, which are indigenous to the area, which were found right in this immediate area. And of course, it's important from the standpoint of San Diego to keep these together if possible. But they were collected by the old man of the mountain and Herman Timmons out here. And the rest of the things, a lot of the military and things of that nature, of course, I collected during the war. And of course, the collection is being sold off. A lot of the collection is being sold off in this auction that's coming up pretty soon. And Some of it I will probably keep. They're my personal mementos, and I'll keep those things.
Included in the collection was this old disc-type music box, which still works to the tune of Under the Double Eagle. Having seen the location and learned of the background of the tower, we wanted to follow the progress of the auction, which was to take these pieces from public view and place them into private collections.
Do I have 25? 26 in the front row. $26 once, 28, 28 once, 28 twice. Is there any further bid? 30, $30 once, 30 twice. Are you all through? 40.
And then outside to an area where the old wagons sat waiting to become showpieces for collectors who might use them as reminders of an American past they never had a chance to experience. We noted with interest that even a still functional piece of equipment would have more value as an antique than it would have working as it was originally intended.
Good sound mind and body want to do something out in the present.
I'd want it to use
For what?
for mining.
The way it is? Or
No, I'd like to rebuild it.
do you have a mine that's working someplace now?
I might have.
Are you interested in anything else?
No. No, I've looked at them. I'm not interested in the rest of them.
I'm sorry. Just this because it's still functional.
Yeah. That's what I could use it for.
$375 once, $375 twice. Any further bid?
Yeah.
But as time changes, so do values. The ore car was not to return to the mines. Instead, it would become a collector's item and possibly be turned into a flower bed for someone's front yard. Too expensive as a working tool.
68, 400. $225 once.
And so, too, it was with the rest of these old wagons. Having served their time as vehicles of transportation, they now were auctioned off, complete or in pieces, at a price much higher than the original cost.
Are you ready? Yeah. $350. $350 once, $350 twice. Is there any further bid? $350 for a 1906 Studebaker wagon.
As for the old tower, well, it still stands on the rim of the desert. Its future, unknown. And to the thousands of people who drive by each day on Interstate 8, it's just a passing novelty, if they see it at all.
Spotted Imperial walkers.
Imperial walkers on the North Ridge.
We've seen robots that scoot along, robots that talk.
Oh, where is Artu when I need him? Sir, I don't know where your ship learned to communicate, but it has the most peculiar dialect. I believe, sir, it says that the power coupling on the negative axis has been polarized. I'm afraid you'll have to replace it.
Robots that try to warn. Robots that introduce themselves to people.
You old smoothie.
Hello, sir. I am C-3PO Human-Cyborg Relations. My facilities are at your... really?
But can also interrupt people.
I've isolated the reverse power flux coupling.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Some say that's movie science fiction, but here's a robot that doesn't walk or talk or interrupt for that matter. It just does the job, thank you. This is the Mobot. That means modular robot, which is not fantasy. It's a right now working machine that doesn't show and tell. It just does the work. They tell us it was complicated to design, but it's very